Tell me, Justin, were you always a comic guy?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't like to call myself a comic by guy because I pretty much only read the mainstream ones, and I feel like a bit of a imposter. I only really read like the X-Men's, the Supermans.
Hey, it counts.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So I am a comic guy, all right?
And talk to me about your first encounter with the material, because I remember vividly my first encounter, because I only ever known Gerard from My Chemical Romance, and I'm always unsure what to expect when people make these sorts of transitions, and Umbrella Academy just blew me away.
Absolutely. I again had not been familiar with this particular graphic novel before booking the show, and I did, and I ran to my nearest comic book shop and got the 3 volumes that I think were out at the time, and I cobbled them up. Now, what was really funny was when I got the part, I wasn't sure who I was because everything was really secret. I was told at a certain point that I could be one of the Hargreaves siblings, but then at that point, everyone in the family had already been cast. And I was like reading the comments, and I'm like, wait, who am
And
I?
Ben's a kid.
Who am I going to be? And then finally, when I got to Toronto to start shooting, is when it was finally revealed that they were sort of going to use a bit of creative license and bring Ben back as a ghost. And
It's perfectly logical given Seance's powers. But talk to me about that, because your version of the character obviously doesn't exist in the comic book, so you don't necessarily have much source material to rely on. So how did you work through that?
I
Was
mean,
it easier or harder?
have asked for anything better, right? I mean, everyone had this huge pressure, right, to live up to these iconic comic book characters, and I was dead, so I could make up whoever I wanted. So I was incredibly honored and excited to sort of build this character from ground up. Now, obviously, I had many discussions with Steve Blackman, our showrunner, as well as Gerard, who was incredibly generous to sort of figure out what we could do with Ben as a ghost. But to be quite honest, the character continued to evolve and change as the season went along. And even with Robert, I think they started to really understand our dynamic and our banter after the first couple of episodes and sort of start to write to that, which was really fun because I think you start to see a lot more humor, a lot more, craziness and shenanigans, because that sort of really reflected Robert and Mai's own dynamic outside of set. So
Oh, well, talk to me about that, because I guess most of your scenes are with Klaus and with Robert, and it must be like everyone else is just ignoring that you're in the room. And then how does that play out on set?
those are the most fun scenes to shoot because I get to do whatever I want. No one can notice me. It's been sort of a running joke for me to try to get one of the other cast members to laugh or to look at me whenever we have a family scene. And there have been more than one occasion where we've had to reshoot something.
Watching the show, it's very apparent that you guys have a great chemistry. That it feels like there is this kind of familial atmosphere with everything from the bickering down to when people show up for one another. What is it like on set? And I was wondering what went towards fostering that.
I mean, I think it's twofold. I think number one, the casting is so great. Again, for me, because my character was completely secret, I wasn't auditioning with real scenes. I was auditioning with completely made up scenes. And so the reason why I think it works on the screen is because it works off screen as well. And so we are truly a family outside of set as well. The chemistry was pretty instantaneous. We have such a rapport. There's such a trust there now.
Justin, was this always part of the plan? I mean, you've done TV, you're a photographer, and now you're on this series that is on the largest streaming platform in the world.
I've been told by mentors in this industry to never go into a show or a movie thinking that it's going to be a big hit because the moment you do, it never is. And so even after,
I remember seeing you on an episode of CSI Cyber, I think.
oh my gosh,
Sorry to bring that up.
my incredible 3 lines. Uh,
Hey, we don't see many Asian people on those shows. You stand out.
I really appreciate that. Um, I've gone through the gradual process. You know, I didn't really jump to Umbrella. It was, I started with student films. I started with my first line on a TV show. I started with a couple lines on a TV show. And then I got my first guest star on a TV show. And then after years and years, here comes Umbrella. And again, I had a feeling that the show would do well because it was just such a blast to shoot and I could feel the chemistry of the family. But I didn't really know where Ben would play into that narrative because, for a lot of season one, it's a sort of just tagging along to Klaus and popping in here and there. And to sort of have the fans rally after him, it was overwhelming and surreal and just, so grateful. So grateful.
Fantastic. Justin, that's all the time I have. It's been such a great pleasure talking to you.
So great. It's so nice to speak to people who actually know what the show is about.
Thanks a lot, Justin. Cheers. Bye-bye.